Welcome back, everybody, to a weekly energy update. My name is bryndis. I'm a trained energy healer and energy coach. And with these weekly previews into collective energies and how they affect us, I'm giving you a little bit of a heads up, help you to contextualize some of the internal things that you're experiencing and providing you with hands-on energy tips and self-healing strategies. We are live on Instagram, we are live in the transCODES Empath forum, and we are live on Facebook. I am hearing a very vocal audience here in the background. We got a lot of bird activity here, so I hope this bodes well for this beautiful Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to you, or belated Valentine's Day. Let's look at this super red week ahead. Again, this energetic barometer here that you're seeing is not an indication of whether this is going to be a good week or a bad week. It's an indication for intensity levels. And I want to make sure that you understand that the reason why I decided to put the barometer on dark red, on super red for next week, is not so much because of outer things that happen. So in the past, we've had a lot of bombardment, confusion and so forth going on here through the collective. This is, of course, still going on, but my main tip for you for next week is to ignore the news, okay? There's just this theater of trying to hang on to the old, letting go of the old, but the new isn't quite there yet. So is it the total confusion about integrity, boundaries, and true values. Okay, so the best way to not, on top of this internal turmoil that you may feel like you're going through, to prevent this from increasing the intensity for you, I strongly recommend you to stay away from all of this. All right, and also, don't underestimate the power of TV shows, award shows, even songs on the radio, how they transport some of that collective confusion that is going on. Okay, so the best thing for you is to stay away from, what you are experiencing, the collective, but without isolating yourself. And why is this? So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's go into what the overall situation is. And by the way, let me know what country you are watching from and how you're feeling. I already see Denmark. Yes, wonderful, guys. Wave me, send me a heart, send me a like. Just give me a little bit of feedback. Last week, actually, I asked you to go into this feedback, to not shy away, to not be afraid of, what other people reflect back to you, even if you're afraid of rejection. Why did I ask you this? Because this week is a big week of correction, internal correction. So it's all about this inside job that I have been talking about for a long time. The intensity levels here for this next week mainly come through the internal stuff that is coming forward. And it will feel almost like you being forced to go into a higher expression of yourself. It's almost like you don't have a choice anymore, okay? And in the bigger picture, what this means is, looking at all the things that have to come forward here this year, namely, the true truth, if you will. Not that anybody owns truth, but, our ability to discern truth, our ability to see through deception, our ability to see through manipulation, through, sort of matrix programming, okay? That's our big job here this year, this whole entire year. And February is kind of like this threshold where we go from how we would like to have things, how we would like to see things, the ideals that we have, and also in a spiritual sense, some of these visions that we have of the future, and matching this up, making this congruent with how we live our life and how we walk the talk. All right. So this week here is a week that maybe, last week was already a week for you where you felt like you had to really let go of some of your illusions. I put a few keywords in there, you know, like fantasy bond and so forth. There's a lot of relationship stuff that is going on right now for all of us. And even if we're not in a relationship, you know, this yearning, this longing for a partner, for this one, you know, this soulmate that makes us feel whole. And that in itself, guys, is part of this illusion. All right. So the higher expression of ourselves and the finding the true identity, finding the true power in becoming our authentic self and becoming our true self, lies in understanding that we're already whole to begin with. I often compare this with, you know, the granite block that you see, you know, or this like just sort of raw diamond, a rock, you know, where there's this refined, really beautiful, shining self, you know, this sculpture in its whole perfection as it is, hidden inside. And this whole journey that we are in here as a human, you know, as a spiritual being in a human body, in this caught in this third dimension of density, okay, has to do with shedding things, okay. So many of us get trapped in understandings of spirituality because we see it as a process of ascension, a process of acquiring, a process of getting, a process of needing to have, you know, and that creates all this seeking and longing. And that is like toxic for our ego, guys, because our ego in and of itself, which is, you know, sort of culminated the coping mechanisms that we develop for all the things that are too much for us, that are too hard for us, that are, you know, too dense for us as well, all right? And, you know, when you feed the ego with this longing and the seeking, you know, this like up there, okay, then you run into problems. Then you start or want to just get relief from reality because reality doesn't match up with this. And so, you know, as a whole generation right now, we're seeing a huge increase in people wanting to check out, people wanting to numb themselves. And that's, you know, along with this overall spiritual awakening that is going on, where you, at the same time as you want to check out, you also awakening to a deeper level of truth, namely your own truth. And this creates this inner turmoil. This creates this inner contradiction. And the way to work through this is not to eradicate the things that we cannot love about ourselves, or, you know, trying to be someone who we're not. This is the complete opposite of what we are actually asked to do. So when I say we kind of feel forced to work our way out of our illusions and into this sort of a higher expression of who we truly are. And the same, you know, counts for the collective, for the world itself. It means that we have to look at it. It means that we have to grow into our power. We don't have to acquire anything for this. We don't need another person for this. We don't need more knowledge for this. We just need to have the willingness and the courage to really look at the things that we cannot fully love about ourselves, or that we, you know, rather, you know, or perceive as flawed, you know, as temptations or as seductions. And here is, guys, where, you know, your ability to discern truth has to develop into in a way that allows you to even uncover your own illusions about what is perfect, you know, about what defines you. Okay, we have this thing as humans, you know, to look at others, and, you know, whatever it is that is presented to us, you know, we take this for real. We think that everybody else is a true self except for us, which is a huge mistake, guys. You know, learning to discern truth also shows you how the degree of deception, or degree of manipulation, the degree of self-deception, you know, other people are in, and meaning that, you know, these people that we put up there, that we, you know, that we perceive as successful, that we perceive as admirable, where we want to sort of get, you know, become like them. Most of this is fake, guys. Most of this is part of this collective ego, basically, the collective darkness, you know, finding its expression in this pretense, in the fake, you know. And ways where we can identify this right now is in this sort of overall narcissistic way of living. Everything is geared towards the external, towards how many likes I get, how many people agree with me, how many people adore me, how many people put me up on a pedestal. And this is very, very dangerous, guys. When you live a life based on those kind of paradigms, then you are in for this continual, basically, falling from your own ivory tower, the ivory tower of your ego, the ivory tower of your ego illusions, the ivory tower of your fake relationships, your fantasy bonds, the ivory tower of your fake spirituality. And it isn't really your fault, so don't feel bad when I say it in this direct manner, okay? I don't want to rain on your parade, but you have to, in order to be able to discern truth, you have to be willing to look at your own deceptions, you know, where you lie to yourself, where you try to be somebody you're not, where you do these white lies, where you do this fake niceties, where you do this pleasing or this seeking, and worst of all, you know, where you try to check out and where you go into your own little world, you know, where you are something special, even if it is through, you know, the dysfunctionalities that you're in. You know, one of these outcroppings of the collective ego, the collective shadow, is that we actually think it's honorable to be a victim, that there must be a reward in being a sacrifice. This is detrimental to our psyche, guys. This is the reason why we have this, or why we can observe this strong attraction between narcissists and empaths. I mean, you must ask yourself, you know, why this is popping up right now. Is this because there are more empaths, or is this because there are more narcissists? It's both. But both are just the flip side of the same coin, okay? So when we go in, okay, and sort of roll our sensitivity and, you know, our ability to perceive and to feel other people's feelings and misuse this, you know, to make them love us more, or to pretend, you know, that there's something where there isn't. And I'm just giving you a few keywords here because this is going to come forward this week, especially in regards to sexual shadow. All right, to pretend that there is love where there isn't. And the problem with this is when we stay in this for too long, guys, we lose the sense for truth, for our own truth, and we become it becomes almost impossible for us to discern whether this relationship is actually based on love, or whether it's just there to relieve me from the pain of being alone, or whether it's just there to make me feel better about myself because I have somebody who adores me, who approves of me, who validates me, or, you know, simply because I am so afraid of, you know, being alone with myself and feeling this emptiness that I sacrifice everything, including my highest values. And this is, guys, where boundary work is so important, because we literally lose that ability to discern this. And so many of you guys are stuck in this place where your sense of normal is so skewed because you have been tolerating, you have been enabling, and sometimes even seeking this dysfunctionality, this pain, you know, this victimhood, subconsciously, you know, because you got some kind of validation out of this, and maybe even sort of a spiritual idea that there is something honorable in being a victim. This needs to be corrected. All right, we're done with this, okay? White shadow, we're done with this. Sexual shadow, you got to work through this, okay? Being afraid of looking at your own inner darkness, okay, and trying to check out and numb yourself from it, guys, this needs to be over with. You cannot go into this higher expression of yourself and authenticity if you are not willing to feel, if you are not making every experience a welcome learning experience, if you cannot see, that in challenging your own ego, you're actually supporting your true self to come forward and, for you to heal. This is the week, guys, where you have to make this conscious. You cannot allow yourself to go into this, and depression and anxiety. Guys, you got to learn how to regulate your emotions, how to regulate your energies. This is what all these energy updates are about, and you know that I do in-depth energy tips right after here, which I produced for the Patreon subscribers and heart warriors. Those are people who either support transCODES through donation and get extra content for this, or people who decide to actively wanting to work on this. So our heart warrior program, guys, is for those of you who really want to break through this. It's a 3 months intense program, and we have other programs. We have the Energy Training Club. We have something that is new starting tomorrow. Every month I'm going to do this. It's the 10 Days So Spiritual Challenge, where you set the goal, and I'm taking you up on your goal and teaching you how you can move into a higher level of accountability and authenticity with yourself, and break through these subconscious patterns, through these blind spots. This is what transCODES is all about, okay? So I'm not here to just give you predictions or, to tell fortune. I'm here to tell you that there is hope, that there are ways to work through this, and you don't have to be a woo-woo person. Okay, this is all part of the powers, part of the skill set that we already have. We have this all in us. We just need to learn, how to chip all these illusions and all these blocks that we have away, so that we can actually access the full power, the true power of who we truly are, and embrace what comes out of it. Embrace, the true connection, the true intimacy, the true devotion to a job, fulfillment and purpose, giving everything, even your karma, a meaning. And so this is what this really means here, guys. I want to just throw in here that this, I'm not just making this all up, okay? There's someone who most of you are familiar with, Carl Jung, one of the most, probably influential psychologists here for the 20th century, besides his own teacher, Sigmund Freud. So most of you, even if you're younger, you know who Sigmund Freud is. Carl Jung took Sigmund Freud's theories, about the ego and the shadow, or this part in us, the seductive part in us, a step further. And he went into really facing it, not like just declaring it or diagnosing it, that somebody has an inner child problem and therefore, develops an ego. No, Jung took this a step further, and he added spirituality to it. And that is basically, what we are in the midst of here right now as a whole entire collective. We have to add the spiritual realm, the subjectivity of our perception into our psychological, emotional, mental, and behavioral, and even physical understanding. All right. And this is why in these energy tips and also the energy forecast, sometimes I go through these different layers, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, social, and energetic, because there are different density levels that we all have as self. And when we work to its authenticity and truth, we have to work through these different layers. And as we grow, re-encountering these things that we have previously transcended. And this is what so many of you find a lot of frustrating sometimes, because you think you've already worked through something, and then it comes back. And often, in form of relationships, where we get this feedback from the outside, and now we're like in this conflict. Is there something wrong with us, or is there something wrong with our expression? And I want to send out the message here for you on this Valentine's Day to not go into doubting your self-value, doubting, that you are not good enough. I want you to doubt your expression, the way you express yourself, the way you show up, the way, what you actually represent, what you actually, cultivate in your daily life. Spirituality, guys, if you take all the New Age stuff out, is very, very practical, and it's very simple too. It's about congruence, authenticity. Am I walking my talk? Am I really expressing on the outside how I'm truly feeling on the inside? Am I, communicating my needs? Am I communicating my values? Am I being true to my values? That is what spirituality really is. So we have to call it practical spirituality just to differentiate ourselves a little bit from, the woo-woo stuff. Now, the woo-woo stuff, the mysticism that we find, and this will be something you'll encounter here next week, big time, because there's a lot of crown chakra stuff going on. I get to this in the energy tips. By the way, sometimes I make the energy tips that I produce for the Heart Warriors and Patreons public, because I think it has significance for some of you guys, all right? Going through severe drama. But for the most part, you get this when you're a Patreon subscriber. We have to really understand that this is our responsibility. We have to rock up. We have to, stand up for ourselves. We have to make this an unconscious act of self-healing, self-releasing. We cannot do this through outer things, not through other people, not through our jobs, not through money, not through our relationships, not through a partner. We do not need a partner to do this. Now, a partnership, a true self-relationship can tremendously help in this, because if we come together with another true self on this level, it can motivate, it can increase the joy of being on this journey together, all right? We have this synergy, and this is my plea to you here on this Valentine's Day. Let go of all these props, of all these things that you think are needed to express your love, and all this outer, this external stuff. Instead, move into something that you can only feel deep within your heart, and that has to do with sacredness. Make your love sacred. Make your sexuality sacred. Make your relationship sacred. Even make your relationship with your children sacred. And express the sacredness. All right? This is a whole different level of showing up. There's a whole different level of sincerity in this. And when you do this, you don't have a problem with incongruence, with inner conflicts. You don't have an inner conflict, because you're acting and you're speaking from your heart. That is your true power. Okay? So guys, you will notice a shift on Monday. So Monday you will feel a little bit of this, I don't want to call it exhaustion again. It's more like a tiredness. You're getting tired of things, and you really want to, probably feel the need or the drive to escape a bit. Don't do this, okay? And specifically, don't go into your inner victim. Don't go into your anxiety. Learn how to regulate, okay? When things become scary, when things become stressful for you, first of all, you need to release, okay? So this is the self-clearing. You need to release things, okay? Truly release things. Don't hold them in, and delay release. Instead, slow down. We all have this weird habit that when things get stressful, that we go faster. Go slow. Go slower. Okay? You're going to feel a lot of headiness. You're going to feel a lot of drowsiness, temple pressure, nightmares. Guys, I mentioned this last week. If you have kids, yes, this next week is going to continue being them having a lot of nightmares, waking up a lot. Sort of being really sleep deprived. So pay attention to your true needs, and especially pay attention to your water intake, okay? Dehydration, like a physical dehydration, not drinking enough water can increase stress levels, can increase, the bombardment that you feel internally. So you really need to go into the things that can help you to slow down. And of course, as always, meditation, transmissions, and so forth are all modalities that can help you not just to integrate mindfulness, but also to really experience firsthand that you can regulate your energy, that you have the power to regulate your energy, that you have the power to shift your perception and see, shift your perception from half full to half empty. See the opportunity in the challenge. And if you want to, be a good active self-healer, then go and challenge your ego actively. Okay, so the modalities that we are offering here this weekend for you to walk the talk is shadow work. Okay, shadow work is also a term that was basically invented by Carl Jung. That's why I showed you this quote from him. We have on Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's like early morning in Europe and really late at night in Australia and New Zealand. The shadow work integration session. This is an energy healing and training session where you can learn in a safe environment to face your shadow. Okay, and this is a white shadow special, meaning we're looking at not so much the darkness, like the demonic or whatever in a person, but, the white lies, the fake nicety, the fake stuff, okay, the fake connectedness, all right? And this requires a lot of courage, to go there. And we give away, this is our giveaway, as always, every week we have a giveaway. 2 tickets for this, and the task for you to win these tickets or to be part of this energy work modality is to type in, I no longer need to pretend being someone I am not. I no longer need to pretend being someone I am not. If you type this into the commentary here, be it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, then you will become you will get one of these tickets. Don't forget to give me your email address so I can send you the instructions. And there is also a recorded energy process for you that you can practice this on your own at a later time. Other than that, we have a self-mastery class on Saturday about power control and also narcissism. This is specifically geared towards people who have been around a bit, or therapists or coaches who want us to know the energetic aspects of these symptoms or of these issues. When people go through these issues, I take it all apart there for you and present a self-healing roadmap. And then a little later next week, we have something that we do for free here for the members of our Sacred Self-Healing community. And that is a boundary workshop. That's a 2-hour webinar where we work together on how to better implement healthy boundaries. Okay, how to see them better and how to better implement them. And there too, we're going to cover the aspect of narcissism, or the narcissist victim syndrome, and this fatal attraction between narcissists and empaths. So if this interests you, check this out. The ticket for this workshop is $25, and you're very welcome to join us, even if you are not a part of the Sacred Self-Healing community. If you are, please don't buy a ticket because you get it for free. All right. And other than that, tune into the Patreon channel, the extra articles that you can find there, my blog. Check the website for individual healing modalities and how we can help you, to come into this higher expression of yourself. And if you want to go and work with me personally, in this a bit more intense way, then check out the Heart Warrior program. We have 2 spots left for the Heart Warrior Bootcamp starting March 1st, and it's 90 days long. And if you're interested in how to break through a specific blind spot, then check out the 10-day challenge that starts tomorrow. Love you guys. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your hearts. Okay, send a few more hearts. Okay, me too. I need your validation too. And share those videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.